webinar on live. We really appreciate this. Welcome to Plant Hero Academy. That's our educational series. We are planting up, organized this. So yes, also for information, this webinar is being recorded. So if you need, to go to you can. I will send all recordings on the Monday. So yes, so let's get started, please. Can you click on the next slide? Thank you. I'm Elizabeth. I'm from Planting Up. We organized this educational series. This is actually our second year of organizing this. This is a series of educational webinar free for everyone. Planting is a plant care app which helps more than 35 million people worldwide to care about their plants. We have such features as plant identification, water and light meter, and also community of people who share their insights on plant care. You can download this by link. Also, I will send it everything in the follow-up mail. Can you please click on the answer? Yeah, thank you. Also, I wanted to present absolutely brand new feature. It's Plant School. It's like core lessons on plant care. You can find it in our app. It's really great stuff. Especially if you're a beginner, it just squeezes. You can find a lot of information here. It just recently released. We are really proud of this, and we are really grateful for people which have interests in plant care and ready to learn. Can you please click on the next slide? Also, we will have our giveaway, and in giveaway prizes, we give one lifetime subscription to Planting Up, and also from our amazing partners, we will have a $60 gift card from Treleaf, our partners, which from today, yes, and also $100 subscription. Dollar gift card for Coast of Maine. This is a brand of soils and fertilizers, and they also will speak on Tuesday on our webinar. How you can get this, how you can participate in this giveaway, it's so easy. You just need to fill out the feedback form, and that's all. All you need to just fill a feedback form. I will send it in the chat. Also, I will send it to mails. So we will be really grateful for your feedback, and winners will be announced on 2nd of June after all of the webinars. Can you please? Next. And also we will have in this series 2 more webinars. On next Tuesday, we will have the soil secret that changed everything, where Cameron from Coast of Maine will tell all you need to know about soil. So please also join. If you cannot listen it's live, you can just I will send all of the recordings. So yeah, we will be really happy to see you there. And also the next one webinar, it will be on May 30, Indoor Plant Essential from Light to Soil. It will be in collaboration with Plant School podcast. Rachel is amazing. She's hosting Plant School podcast. It also free. Everything is free. We will be really happy to see you there. And it's all done for my part. I hope you are not tired for me. I also wanted to say that any questions that you will have, please write it to the chat, and I will collect everything. And in the end, we will have a Q&A session, which you can ask them about everything that you want. You can just write it, or you can just voice over in the mic, however it's comfortable for you. Thank you so much for your attention. Zeba, please. Thank you, and welcome to our webinar.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the introduction, Elizabeth. And I am so excited to be here and be talking plants today with all of you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like as Elizabeth said, today, if you have any questions, just because this is a webinar, I would love to take them at the end of the seminar. So please put in your questions in the chat and we will get to it at the end. Also, if you can just mute your mics, just because sometimes we hear background noises, and at the end we can, we can open up the mics and answer any questions, or have a discussion about whatever you guys want to have. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Zeba Prakar. I am so glad everybody is here today, and um, I would love to introduce myself a little bit. I'm actually an engineer by training. I've spent a few years in the corporate world. I used to be a scientist, and my real passion has always been plants. I'm a self-proclaimed plant mom. I have more than definitely more than 150 plants. I have lost count now. And I also use my plants, I love growing them, but then I also use them as decor. So I like for them to look nice inside my house. And a few years ago, I had a problem that I guess a lot of the later on I figured out a lot of plant parents have, is struggling with finding aesthetic accessories to accent their plants, especially support their plants indoors. So I decided to do something about it, and I used some of my engineering background to engineer some supports. Our mission, and then while that came about, Treleaf was born as a brand. We have been around for 5 years. We are based out of Atlanta, Georgia area. We are a US-based company, so we make all our products ourselves over here. And I mean, our mission is to help everybody bring greenery indoors. And I want everybody to be able to, enjoy their plants and keep their plants thriving. Uh, I'm here today to basically talk to you about how to support plants and how to grow them. So, um, yeah, so basically today's topic is going to be how do you support your indoor jungle, and especially we'll be talking about how to stake them, and especially vining plants and climbing plants. So over the next 35 minutes or so, we are going to dive into the science and the practical side of supporting your indoor jungle. And by the end of this, I want you to take away is how exactly would you stake your vining plants, and how to keep them growing and supported, and actually how a right kind of support can transform them. So basically, many of the vining plants or the climbing plants that are house plants right now, they are in nature, in the wild, they are climbers. And understanding this is key to help them thrive indoors. So let me break this down for you. So let's talk about epiphytes. Epiphytes, this is a botanical term, but it's not as complicated as it sounds. And an epiphyte is just a plant that grows on another plant. So it's usually growing on a tree in nature. And the key is these epiphytes are not actually parasitic to the plant. They are not stealing any nutrients from the tree that they are growing in. They're just using the tree as a support. So they're just like holding on to that tree and growing on there. Lot of orchids, they are epiphytes. So if you go in nature in a tropical rainforest, you'll find thousands of these orchids, growing on tree branches. They are not rooted in a soil. They are generally attached to a bark, and they are absorbing all the moisture and the nutrients from the air or from the rain that is flowing down the tree. Some Hoyas also are epiphytes. This particular GIF that you see here is an orchid tree, orchid on a mango tree that I found on my last visit to India, and I was super happy to see it in nature firsthand. Then there is another category which is very related, is a hemiepiphyte. So these are a little bit different than epiphytes because they almost have a split personality. So hemiepiphytes, they start their life on the ground as a terrestrial plant. So they will start in the soil. But here's the cool part. What happens is, as it matures, it transitions into a climber. It starts growing up the trees. Monsteras are a classic example of this. So if you see a monstera in a rainforest, you'll find it actually started on the forest floor, but as it starts growing, it decides to climb, and it develops something called as an aerial root that wraps around the trees, and it helps it climb higher. Some philodendrons are also do the same thing, and you would think, like, why does this happen? Because they are trying to reach for more light. So when you're climbing, you can start going up towards the light. It also helps with like air circulation and but better growing conditions when they are climbing. So they have adapted themselves to climb up. Uh, so when you're bringing like a hemiepiphyte, like a monstera or a philodendron inside your home, you're dealing with a plant that has a innate drive to climb. So like they want to climb, and they want to grow vertically. And if you don't give it that opportunity, you are actually fighting against natural instincts. So just I mean that just taking that cue from nature would help you take better care of these plants. um, so the I mean, nature has designed these plants, and one of the things that uh, hemiepiphytes or epiphytes have that you will see is aerial roots. So the aerial roots are these like uh, small brown structures that are growing from the stem of the plant, and they are kind of the secret weapon for climbing plants. They're just not there to like hang. They are basically there to act like, tiny hands that are grabbing onto the tree. And they also are like designed to be sponges. So they are actually soaking up some water, some nutrients from the air, from the humid air around it. So when, what happens is when you are, these aerial roots are gripping to the bark of the tree. And then when they start growing up, one of the best thing that happens is you'll start seeing these fenestrations in, a lot of plants, and monstera is a great example of that. And it's kind of a nature's hack also. The reason why they have adapted to have these like split leaves or, holes in the leaves is so that these are like little windows through which light can filter through and go and reach the lower leaves, because these jungles are very dense, right? And plants want light. So this is their way of like, having, if it was a solid leaf, the light would not be able to go through it. But now that you have a fenestration, you can filter this light, and it goes through and also helps the leaves below in the jungle canopy. So aerial roots, a lot of people, they don't know what to do with them. Once you'll start seeing them, in philodendrons and monsteras, and they can start getting really long and very unruly. In nature, I always look at nature to see, what should we do, so that we are mimicking that inside our homes. In nature, what is happening is they are sticking to the bark, and eventually, when you look at them closely, they reach to the ground, and they then turn into roots themselves. So my biggest advice would be not to chop them off if you want, those huge mature leaves, because the plant actually needs those roots. Instead, one of the things that I do with all my plants is I gently tuck them into, if you're using a moss pole, put them in the moss pole. If you're using a trellis, try to like direct it towards the trellis. Or if it's too long, most of the times it starts attaching on the trellis, but then it becomes super long. You can gently direct it into the soil, so that it starts creating that root stitch system, where it has another root where the plant can soak up more nutrients, and it's almost like giving your plant another extra straw to drink from the root, right? So I would say try one of the ways to manage them is to direct them into the soil. So for this category of plants, which are climbing or vining plants, support isn't just nice to have. It can be transformative for the plant. So your plant gets healthier, it starts looking more beautiful, and you actually start getting better circulation around the plant, which helps with other problems like pests and fungus and things of that sort, because fungal infections and things of that sort, because you're giving it good air circulation, you're keeping the leaves manageable, and you will start also maturing the plant, and you can start seeing some good leaves, and it can be transformative for the plants. So I mean, I'm talking about what before and after, and in this case, you have a vine, and it has. If you leave the vines of a plant just going around, it's more unstructured. It goes everywhere, and you'll eventually start seeing, the leaves will start becoming smaller if you don't give them support. But once you start supporting your plant, you can actually reduce the footprint of the plant a little bit, and also you can try to like make it also give it something that it wants to climb, and what it wants to do in nature. So, I mean, I wanted to go through like the various options that you have to support your plant. I would like to start with the simplest way of supporting. If you have a plant and it's going everywhere, and if you want to support it, one of the easiest way of doing it is just using a stick or a bamboo stake, or you can get like these metal stakes, which are just a stick but made out of metal. I also would categorize a coir pole into the stick category, because it kind of behaves like a stick. I mean, the best thing is they're cheap. I mean, they're sometimes they can be free, right? You just go to the backyard and get a stick, grab it, and put it near a plant, and you can support it. Yeah, I mean, they're readily available everywhere, but they work, but they don't work in all scenarios. They can be. If your plant starts becoming bigger, they can be a little bit flimsy. They can, if it's just a stick, it'll start deteriorating in the soil region. So you will have to replace it after a certain period of time. And sometimes if it's a thin stick, it'll be hard for the aerial roots to grip on. So you are not, you're not helping it hold on to it. But in certain scenarios, that this is a good option also. The other category, which is very popular, is moss poles. And basically, a moss pole is a stick that is filled with sphagnum moss in it. And there are lots of options available in the market for moss poles. You can also DIY them. And a lot of people love them. And there are good reasons to like them. One of the reasons being, they can hold, because it's moss, you can help hold moisture. You also can increase the humidity around the plant a little bit. So it kind of mimics a damp tree trunk in a rainforest. And aerial roots tend to attach to it easily. But what they're still not perfect, and the biggest drawback is they need quite a bit of maintenance. You have to keep them moist, and you have to keep them moist in a perfect way. So if they dry out, what happens is they start shedding, they'll make a mess, and then they become like a stick, right? If you keep them wet or too wet, then you can start attracting fungus gnats, and you also have you also can create root rot, because if the water is going through the moss into the plant and keeping it wet all the time, then that's another issue that you can come up with. And in my opinion, they're not the most prettiest to look at. So if you're ready to do the daily upkeep of them, the moss pools work fine, but they are probably not, if you're not the helicopter plant parent, then it probably is not going to be a good option for you. And then the other, easiest option, and the closest to what you can get in nature, is wood. Because plants are climbing up a wooden bark, you can just give it a wooden plank. It looks natural. It gives the aerial roots a texture and a surface to grab onto. And you will start, if you do it this correctly, if you put the aerial root close to the wooden part, and you're directing it, you will start it seeing, the aerial roots will start attaching to the wood, and you will see the plant climbing. But you have to be a little bit more careful with this setup. You have to make sure the plant, like the aerial root, is touching the wood correctly. Also, the wood eventually will start rotting in the lower part of where it's going in the soil. And let's be honest, sometimes, just a plain plank of wood can look a bit clunky, and not look that good in a designer pot. So from an aesthetic perspective, it might not be the best choice for the plant. So yeah, I wanted to go through, and none of these were perfect options when I was looking for something for my plants. And that's why we started Treleaf. So Treleaf is basically, we we wanted to engineer a support that would actually work for houseplants. And we made every choice, the materials, the surfaces that we design, the design, we take cues from nature. We always ask, how do plants want to climb, and will it like to climb the structure? And if it does, then we make that kind of structure. And we've been around for 5 years now. We have all our designs are patented. We are kind of a one-of-a-kind supports in the market right now. And thousands of plant parents have supported the plants, and these things actually work. So I wanted to go through some examples. So first of all, I'll give you a little bit more background about, Treleaf and what makes us different. We use wood. I am a big fan of wood. I think, the plants, climbing plants love wood. If you give them wood, then, you can make them very, let them reach their full potential. But one of my biggest gripes with wood was design. I did not like the more, kind of rough look that just a piece of wood would give. So we kind of engineered that wood so that you don't even need to use ties while you're working on a vining plant. We also tried to solve the wood rotting issue. So we worked very hard to figure out how to waterproof the stakes so that you don't have, the trellis doesn't rot inside the soil. And basically it gives you the positives of the wood without the, without some of the cons that you would see in a wooden trellis. Um, so before you buy a support, I would like to kind of help you understand the choices, or the questions that you need to ask before you decide what kind of support you want for your plant. So I think one of the bigger things that you need to figure out is, what kind of a plant are you looking for in a support? Is this a vining plant, a climbing plant, or is it none of those and something else, and you still want to support it? So that will help you narrow down which ones to use. Also, like the space in which this plant is sitting. So is how much vertical space do you have in terms of growth, and that will also help you decide. Basically a monstera that's going to mature into a big plant needs like a sturdy and a tall support, or a support that can grow. A pothos on a shelf, which you are intending to keep it as a small, desk plant, would need something more compact. And like just understanding or planning that will help you answer, what would work. The good news is there are like options for every situation. So, I'll go through each of these. I've categorized the plants into like a vining plant, a climbing plant. And when I say others, it's like, it's neither a vining plant or a climbing plant. It's a plant that uh, doesn't need to climb, but sometimes, you make that choice more for other aesthetic reasons. Um, so yeah, for a vining plant, let's look at the structure of a vining plant. So a vining plant has multiple vines. You can see this is a Scindapsus pothos. It without a support, it'll just like have these multiple flowers that will grow like down, so you can keep them growing down. You would want to pick a if you want to support it, you want to pick something that has more a structure that can help support like multiple stems, instead of like cramming the whole plant into like a single narrow stick, right? So the goal is to find something that's like wide, that gives like a wide area for it to climb on. And while it's climbing on, you want it to look clean, like not messy, and a structured living art. So in this case, I picked our Pamela design because it's kind of wide. It has, multiple cutouts, so you can actually weave your plant through it, and you can give it some structure to grow up. Another another category of plants that you would look at is a climbing plant. So climbing plants are mostly like philodendrons, or a monstera deliciosa. I would put that into a climbing plant. So in this case, you see a single stem or a main vine that would like to grow up, right? And in that case, this is a philodendron melanochrysum, but your strategy would be, instead of going for more wide, you would want something like tall and more vertical to help support the plant. And here the trick is, you want to align the plant so that you secure the main stem against a flat surface. So it mimics like a tree trunk, and you are telling the plant aerial roots to exactly like, this is where you need to latch on, and that will help it climb up. So this is kind of, how I would pick something more straighter. So our anthrella trellis would be a good sign. We also, a lot of people use Zella, which is our plank design, which is also very straight and works very well for climbing plants. And then finally, there is this others category, which you technically don't need a trellis for these plants, but I always have these plants which are, just like taking too much space, and I'm like knocking them over all the time, and they are just like not properly fitting in a box. And I need like a design element, and they kind of look plain and don't look very good. So in this case, this is my snake plant. And snake plants technically do not need a trellis. They are not climbers. They will be fine even if you don't put a trellis on them. But I am using a trellis because I don't like the unstructured, open look of it. I am trying to like add an accent piece to it, and I am trying to make it, fit in a more narrower space. So the goal here with the trellis isn't about trying to mature the leaves. It's purely for aesthetic and containment purposes. So you're just taking a wild plant and framing it into a accent piece that will go in your home. So in this case, I used Cactrella to hold my the snake plant, and I think all I did was put the trellis and just like direct all the leaves to kind of be structured in that space, and it works. I also do the same thing for some of the ZZ plants. Once they start getting like very wide, I, instead of just tying a rope around them, just using like a trellis as an accent piece and holding it together works. So, I mean, we talked about different kinds of, how would you decide which trellis to work, trellis works for which plant, and how would you decide on that? Once you decide on what trellis you have, you would start with, I wanted to give you a quick, tutorial on how to install that trellis. So installing a trellis is very simple. All you need to do is find the back of the plant, push the trellis inside the plant. In our case, we have the black waterproof coating. So make sure your soil level is below that white coating, because you don't want the wooden part to be inside the soil. Then untangle the vines if you have multiple vines, and then I would carefully weave each one vine at a time through the trellis. And if you need tie, in this case, I'm not even using ties, but sometimes, if the plant is very wonky, you might need some ties. So use ties to like secure them in certain particular spots so that it fits your aesthetic, and you have a piece of living art that you can keep wherever you want. On the other hand, if you have a climbing plant, you can place the trellis on the back of the plant again. Find the main stem. So in this case, it only has one stem. If you have multiple plants in the same pot, I would say sometimes it's better to separate them, or you could use both sides of the trellis, so the front and the back of the trellis, to hold two plants, but I wouldn't go more than two plants in a single pot. And then secure, like keep the stem as close to the trellis as possible, and then hold this main stem like tightly. So make sure it's on the trellis tight, nice and tight, and you will need to use ties in this particular case. And you can then keep your plant upright without having it go on the side. One of the, I would like to go through a few do's and don'ts. One of the things that I always tell people is it's better to start young. It's harder to train a more mature plant on a trellis. Rather than that, it's better to have them start when they are like a more smaller plant, and you can train them to climb up once they and it's much more easier rather than starting after it's a mature plant. Another thing that, and this is more applicable to like climbing plants, is for a monstera, for example, I wouldn't, like, when you're tying it, make sure you tie the plant at the right location. So do not tie the plant on the leaf petioles, or at the where the leaves, the leaf stems. You always want to tie the plant at the stem. So in this case of monstera, you can see the second picture, where I'm tying the plant, just below that last aerial root, on the main stem, and securing it to the trellis. So that way, when the new growth shows up, you're not restricting that, and you're keeping the plant. And once it starts climbing up, you'll just, if the stems become longer, you'll start tying it more on the upper side. In some cases, if you do this correctly, it will start climbing by itself on the trellis. um, I'm not going to go through details of like plant care. I just have like a few. I know there are a few other presentations next week that are going to go more deeply into houseplant care. So stay tuned for that. But whenever I talk to new plant parents or parents that are struggling with plants, a few things that I see, the quick tips that I always give them is what the two main ingredients for a plant to thrive is like water, the right amount of water and the right amount of light. And uh, for watering, one of the best hacks is to uh, water them correctly, is always use a pot with a drainage hole. And that infinitely helps with keeping the plant watered correctly and not over watering them and creating issues like root rot. So if you have a drainage hole in your pot, I would thoroughly water the plant. So water the plant, and once you thoroughly water the plant, do not keep it sitting in water. We have some saucers that are designed so that it can collect the water, that the drainage hole that comes out of the drainage hole, but then your plant doesn't sit in the water. So you use some of the saucers. If not, I would dump out the excess water from your outer pot, um, after an hour of watering, just to make sure you're not making your plant sit in water for too long, because that is going to create all sorts of problems, especially root rot.
Yes, I
And
wanted
this
actually, sorry, I wanted to add that like we have in the app expert help. So it's like one of like the biggest mistakes everyone, like all of our botanists note that everyone overwater their plants. So like all of like around 70% of our requests, the main problem is overwatering. So your tips are amazing. Really, it's like it's better a little bit less than
yeah.
overwater it.
Yeah, for sure. So watering, if you can fix watering, that's one big thing. And then the second thing that I see people do is not giving your plants enough light. And most house plants, like even if they say low light plan, giving it more light is not gonna, it's gonna just make it grow faster. So most houseplants need bright indirect light. So and mostly, when you are inside, you're never in direct light, you're always in indirect light. So make sure your plant is getting enough light, and if you don't have enough light, just get a grow light or some supplemental light to make it grow. So those are my quick tips of how to make it, how to help your plant if you're struggling with it. But I mean, if you get these two, 90% of your plants are going to thrive. So yeah, I mean, today we covered quite a bit about the basics of tropical plants and practical installation tips of how to install a support to a plant, and the why of supports, and why and what and how of supports. So yeah, I mean, this is all I had today. Just wanted to, for everybody who joined, we have a webinar special offer, and I can send later on, we'll send an email with the coupon code too, but you can get 10% off your order at Treleaf. You can just use the coupon code Treleaf X Plantin 10. It's a long one, but you can also scan this QR code and get your. So yeah, give some of our trellises a try, and let I mean just Elisabetta just put in the feedback form for us. But if you have any questions, we can open up the floor for questions and answer. But feel free to make sure you are following us on socials. We are Treleaf. If you search for Treleaf on any social media, you should be able to find us. So, yeah, thank you so much for spending your Saturday afternoon. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deba. We have a questions. Like a quick note, I will send it to the chat feedback form to participate in giveaway. Giveaway again, I remind you, is $60 of gift card for Treleaf, and also $100 for a brand of fertilizers and also soils, a cost of main. So you can win gift cards, and also you can win one lifetime subscription. And please write your questions in the chat. We have a first one. So Zeba, I will just read it aloud. So Sonia, I'm so sorry if I mispronounce it. I just bought a grant kit for an 8-inch pot. When I tried to put the trellis, I couldn't push it all the way in the soil for fear of injuring the roots. I had to use both of the supports. I didn't realize my plant was so big. So the question is about how far down to go into the soil with the stakes.
Yeah. So if your plant is super like I said, if it's not a young plant and if it's super big, you want to go. If you're using one of our trellises, we recommend at least going up to the black mark in the stakes. And that's you can just push it in up till there. If some of our modular trellises, yeah, so if it's one, yeah, so you can just put it through until the black part goes in. And like you said, you will feel the roots breaking, but the roots are very resilient. They will come back. They will grow back afterwards. So don't be worried about damaging the roots. I would like try to push them in. With a big plant though, what will happen is if it is too heavy, the trellis is going to start, it will start leaning ahead. But if you're using one of our modular trellises like Zella, Stella, or Cora, Bella, one of those, we make these side clips. So you can put some of these angular clips on the side and add another side unit to it. You don't have to go all the way to but the minute you add another trellis on the side and hold it at an angle, you are just you are supporting the plant much more. And I think what I'm going to do is, after this, it's hard to like explain it just by talking, but we have some video content of how do you support a heavier plant. So I might I'll put that in I'll send you links to those videos so that you can look at it. But if it is too heavy for the plant, and even after you have put the stakes all the way to the black line, and if it's still leaning, I would add another side unit to it to make it stable. The minute you add a side unit to it, it becomes much more stable and you'll not see that leaning at all.
Okay, thank you. Yes, it was one of your Treleafs. It was Zella, Sonia,
Okay.
right? Also, there's the compliments from Rhonda. She said, "I have two Treleafs. I love them. They add so much style to plants, like plant jewelry accessorizes."
Yeah.
Also, some questions. Are there any grow lights you recommend?
Uh, I mean, I would say the main brands that are available out there, Sansi and Soltech, those are the two that I use myself. But I mean, anything that like you would work. I mean, with grow lights, it's more about like the wiring and whether how are you going to install it. But based on if you can make it work in your space, most of them are pretty good. But Soltech and Sansi would be my top two.
Thank you. Our next question from Christina. Can you stack Treleaf if the plant outgrown support?
Yeah, so I mean, we have these modular trellises that you can add to and make them taller. So, and they are very popular because you can make them taller. But then, if you are using one of our other trellises, which are more static and you can't make them taller, one of the options that I like that what I do with my plants is if I don't want a very tall support and I don't want to cut my plant, one option is you can cut it, prop and chop. So like I cut it down and then I just propagate it and share it with other friends. So that's one option if you want to keep it small. If you don't want to cut it, we also make these wall trellises. So these are small leaf shaped hooks that go on the wall, so you can place your plant on the closer to the wall, and then you can put these wall leaves and let the plant grow on those leaves. And if you do it correctly, they will not attach to the wall, they will start attaching to the wooden leaves that we have. So that's another way of letting them grow up to the ceiling. So that's another option. Or you can always use a modular design that you can keep adding to and making it taller.
Okay, thank you. I've seen like raised hand. Someone wants to just like ask a question with mic. Okay, maybe it was accidentally. Okay, next question, because we have some. Do you have from question from Keith? Do you have anything heavy duty?
Yeah, thanks, Keith, for that. I mean, most of our trellises are like for small and medium-sized plants. Right now we don't have anything that's like super heavy duty for a super big, tree, but we are working on it. So hopefully, I mean, you'll see something from us in a few months. But thanks for asking that question. We are working on it.
Okay, next question. I recently bought my first monstera, and I'm using one of your trellises. How do I determine the central stem?
So the central stem, I mean, when you look at the plant, most of the times when you buy a monstera plant, it will have multiple plants in it. And we recommend, like I said, I recommend not having more than 2 plants in the same pot. But the central stem is the central part of the. I don't know if I can pick up the. Let me see if I can find that picture. So this is the central. So the central stem is the stem where you have the second. Look at the second picture. I don't know if I don't think you guys can see my click, arrow key, but it's that just the stem where all the aerial roots are coming from. So this is the central stem, and I would determine like you have to count how many central stems you have, and I would not put more than 2. Like most of like I just bought one monstera from a big box store and it had 5 plants in it. So when I separated it, I got like I separated it into 4 plants and I'm like giving them away to other friends. But basically, because what happens is these monsteras grow super big and it becomes extremely hard to manage them afterwards. And we are actually working on a series, like, I mean, we just creating content to help you guys, doing a tutorial on monsteras because we get so many questions about it. But I would say this is, make sure you only have 1 or 2 plants in a pot, not more than 2.
Thank you so much. Next question from Margaret. How difficult is reporting with your trellises? I think
yeah, I mean, it's easy. Yeah, and sometimes you don't even have to repot the plant, which I showed in some of the videos, depending on the plant. But if you're doing a monstera and if it is slightly grown out, you probably would want to separate and repot it. But it's super easy. You just take it out of the pot, put the trellis in, and let it grow. Or if you don't want to repot, just put it in there and just tie your plant on it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And also, we have a question. I have a couple of monstera with aerial roots that are a foot long in awkward locations. Should I feed it through the Treleaf? I'm glad you talked about it because I was ready to cut it off.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I've seen a lot of people because they don't look very nice, right? And sometimes if you don't direct them properly, they're unmanageable. But I would say, yeah, make sure you just put it in the soil, and when you repot it, you'll be surprised. I mean, they will create extra roots. The aerial roots would become roots afterwards in the soil.
Okay, thank you. I have also, I think it will be like last questions from me. How often should I change these support systems? Like, do they have like expiration date, or just like until the plants outgrow them?
Yeah, I mean, like you probably don't, yeah, I mean, if it depends, if your plant is outgrowing it, and if you want a bigger support, of course you need to change it. But yeah, I mean, if you use them correctly, you should not have to change it. Like you can just keep the same support and have it climb that support for years. So I mean, we have not been around for that long, but I have supports that I started, like the first few prototypes we made, and it's been 5 years, and they I mean, my plant is still alive, so the support still remains in the plant.
Wow, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deba, for all of these like questions, for really interesting information. Again, I'm leaving feedback form there. Please leave compliments to our speaker today in the feedback form. Thank you so much for everyone who joined today, this Saturday evening, morning, afternoon. Um, I will follow up all of our events with the feedback form. I will double, yes, I will double this special offer in the in our follow-up email. So yes, thank you everyone. Please fill out feedback form. Maybe you will win gift cards and lifetime subscription. I hope I will see you on next webinars. And yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deba, for joining Plant Hero Academy. Thank you everyone for finding time. Oh yes,
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll see you later. And feel free to, like, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. Our email is support@treleaf.shop, or you can send us a DM on any of our social media channels. We are a very small team, and we answer everything. I mean, we might be a little bit slow, but we will answer your questions eventually. So
and do we have a questions? I see a raised hand. Maybe accidentally. Okay, right, let's wait, maybe. Okay. Oh yeah. I'm the lady that wanted to volunteer. A moment. We'll wait.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
Oh, sorry, I don't know where to write it. I've been watching your website for some time now, but I'm in the UK. Have you got any idea what kind of postage cost would be?
Yeah, UK, I mean, because it's international shipping, it is quite expensive depending on the size of the trellis, but it ranges from 30 to 60 pound, based on, our products
Oh,
are not
right.
heavy, but they're like big. So
Gotcha.
I mean, it's bigger boxes. But if you want a more accurate number, I would say just go, like, I mean, put whatever you want in a cart, and it will and put your address, and our website should give you an estimate of what
Oh,
the shipping cost is. So that way you'll get a more accurate count estimate on the website.
oh,
um, yeah, but
all right then.
unfortunately
Thank you.
international shipping is expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, and the tax as well. All right then.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Very
thank
good
you.
products. They look fantastic. I've always been watching them.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, they really looks fantastic. I will share you from of the email of Vesuvius, because she's a lady that wanted to volunteer. I mean, Plantain have a website. Yes, of course, we have. One moment, I will share it to you. Of course, we have. You can join it. You can download our app. It's amazing. Also, it was like when Zeba talked about like light and how it's like it's important. We have feature of light meter, because it's like AR based, not AI based. So you can just like scan your like apartment, and it will show you like the best place to for your plant, which is like have enough sunlight. Okay, I think we're done today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Zeba. I will write everything to you in the emails.